Every time I try to make a video, it's the same deal. I feel so much resistance. So today is no different. Today's video is, are you feeling out of alignment or are you just full of shit? That resistance you feel when you're trying to do something, is it a sign that the thing is out of alignment, or is it just you're procrastinating? You just don't feel like it. How do you know the difference? So I want to tell you guys about the humble pie I've been eating recently and share with you some things I do when I feel that resistance. How do I know if something is out of alignment or if I should just get it done? I will preface by telling you a little story about my background. I don't know if you know this, but many years ago, I was all about that hustle. I used to be that kind of person who would wake up at 5 a.m., just go straight to work, like, I can't see what's in front of me, drinking my coffee. I used to smoke cigarettes, then I quit that, then I started vaping. And I would wake up and I'd be huffing and puffing on the nicotine and drinking coffee and just, working on something, being super excited and driven. But also a lot of it was actually coming from a place of feeling not good enough and feeling like I had to do more and create more to achieve more, to be worthy of something, and I felt like I had to earn the money that I was making. And my way of earning it was struggle, pain, suffering. And I worked really hard. There were times when I had gigs on the side, I had contracting positions along with my businesses. So I was all about that hustle. I was working really hard, and it was very counterproductive because at the end of it, I was just too tired. And the harder I worked, the more difficult it became, the more I struggled, the harder I felt I had to work in order to catch up. It was like this vicious cycle that I put myself into. And eventually in 2020, I burned out. And by early 2023, like the first 3 months of 2023, I was like, no more. I rebelled completely and I no longer wanted to push myself. And I became all about that ease and flow, which I love, but I took that to the extreme. Okay. I went to the complete opposite and I became truly all about ease and flow. And I started to become weaker. That was not right. That was not true. Did not become weaker.
Your strengths in both if the burnout develops.
Thank you. I became obsessed with feeling a certain type of way before I do work. I wanted to do everything in alignment, which I still believe. I still believe you have to do things in alignment. But, I thought alignment was about feeling excited all the time about the things you wanted to do, feeling alive in every action that you take. And if I wasn't feeling that, then that was a sign that I was out of alignment. And that's not true. So I had to relearn that. I had to learn how to be productive again, efficient, effective, being able to get shit done without falling back in the hustle mentality, without letting go of this alignment part that is so important to me, not only to feel good because that's the right thing to do by myself, to feel good, but also because the work that you do and the action that you take from a place of alignment is going to give you completely different results than the action that you take from out of alignment. So let's first talk about what does it mean to be in alignment. The definition of being in alignment is as simple as the thoughts and the emotions that you have about the action are in alignment with the action. So if I'm taking the action of making this video, I'm creating this video because part of me thinks that this is going to resonate with someone. It's going to solve their problem. It's going to serve. It's going to attract a client. It's going to be a form of self-expression for me. There are many reasons why I do it, but I have to create it. At some level, I have to believe that this is beneficial, right? At some level, I have to believe or think that this is a good thing. I'm making a video because it works, because it's fun, because it does something that I want. It gives me a result that I want. And if my thoughts are in misalignment, if I'm thinking that this never works, this is never going to attract any clients, this is not going to help anybody, this is useless, this has no value, or if I'm feeling the emotions that are associated with that, then when I do the action of creating the video, the energy from which I'm creating the video is going to affect it. So the results you're going to get is going to be different, and the results I'm going to get is going to be different. I'm probably not going to be able to give it 100% because I don't believe that it's going to do anything good. I'm probably not going to show up from a good energy. And, if you want to talk about something a little bit more esoteric, the energy from which I'm creating this video is going to dictate the kind of results. So if I have a hidden agenda, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't like this, I don't enjoy this, and the only reason I'm creating this video is because I'm hoping that it's going to get me a result, well, that's not going to work. So it's important that we are in inner and outer alignment, meaning that the thoughts and the feelings that we have are supportive of the actions that we take. And action could be also speaking, by the way. So anything you do in the physical world is action. Now, does this mean that you always feel like it? No. And this is the part that I didn't understand when I started to move more towards joyful productivity. It doesn't mean that every time you do it, you're going to be feeling positively about the thing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel the resistance. You do. You feel the resistance, you feel the fear, you feel all of it. But what you do in that moment is you pause. And instead of pushing through, you pause and you take care of the inner alignment, and then you take the action. But that doesn't mean that the action doesn't get taken. It doesn't mean that you say, I'll do it tomorrow. You have to set some sort of boundary for yourself. So I'll just walk you guys through how I do it. First of all, how do I know if it's in alignment or if I'm just coming up with excuses and procrastinating? The biggest thing for me is that if I thought of an idea and I thought, this is something I want to do, like a marketing initiative or a content idea, this is something I want to do in the future. And then the future comes, it becomes the present moment. And now the task is in front of me and I have to execute. And all of a sudden in this moment, I start to feel resistant and I start to feel like it's out of alignment, or I question if it's in alignment. That's a sign that is fear, that is procrastination. Why? Because when it was a distant thing, when there was a separation of time between me and the action, it was fine. I had no resistance to it. But then when it ended on my plate to do it today, all of a sudden, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe it's not aligned. I don't feel right. Something about this is not clicking. And I can't really put my finger on it, but just maybe have some sort of thoughts, ideas about it, misconceptions about it. And my mind, of course, will logic the fuck out of it and will come up with reasons why this is out of alignment. So I'll give you guys an example of an excuse that my brain would come up with. For example, this content piece itself. This content idea, I felt so much resistance to creating I always feel this way. Like, it's not like every time I want to create content, I feel like, you know what, I am really inspired to create this. No, I have to set the time and the space and show up and start creating, even though I don't feel like it. And slowly I get in the mood for it. So I create the vibe, literally create the space, and make it appealing and make it like exciting for me to create. And I still don't feel excited to create when I start. But after I start and I get in the groove of things and I warm up a little bit, at some point I just find myself in flow and I'm excited to talk. And this doesn't happen as much when I'm talking to other people, but it's more difficult for me to get in the mood for it when I am speaking to a camera, right? Alone like this. If I'm speaking to a group of people or even one person, I'm like, you can't make me stop talking. Everybody's different. In my case, content and having to sit in front of a camera, having to synthesize my ideas, organize them, and present them is not something that I'm excited to do all the time. Absolutely not. So this content piece specifically, when the time came to create it, part of me was like, I think this is out of alignment because I'm not excited to talk about this topic. Maybe you're out of alignment with creating videos, Aliana. Maybe you're out of alignment with this newsletter thing. Maybe you need to look for a different type of content, like different kind of content buckets and content forums and things like that, because this isn't as exciting. And it's like, no, it's work. You have to sit down and do the fucking work. And it doesn't, when I had the idea, I was like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. This is something I should talk about because I know I could have benefited from this, even a year ago. I would have found this very useful because I'm making this in October 2023. January 2022, I remember I was still struggling with sitting down and doing the work with things that felt out of alignment. So yeah, if something seemed in alignment before or you had no resistance, and then when the time came, all of a sudden you feel out of alignment, you can almost be sure that that's your mind just BSing you. And the key here is to just get started. Do the thing, the action, and then decide if it's in alignment or out of alignment. But don't decide that based on your imagination. Take the action first. Make the video. Make the video, complete the video. In this case, complete the video. And then after I make the video, I'll decide if it's in alignment or not. And I don't have to finish the video to know this. I already know it's in alignment. I'm making it right now and I'm enjoying the process. But a few minutes ago, I was like, oh, I don't feel like it. I'd much rather be doing something that doesn't take any effort. So what do you do when you find yourself feeling this resistance, this questioning? Is this in alignment or not? You do want to take the action. But does it mean you have to push through and take the action even though you're feeling like shit? No, not necessarily. Take 10 minutes, go meditate, go walk, go sit in the sun for a little bit if you have access to that. Do something that will regenerate you. Don't go sit in front of Netflix and inhale ice cream, because it's not about having a pleasurable break. It's not about doing something that's pleasurable. It's about doing something that's regenerative, something that will renew your energy. So that's why I said sitting in the sun, or taking a little walk, or meditating, or listening to some music without lyrics. Whatever it is that you do that will put you in a better state. I like to write, aka journaling, which a lot of people have resistance to. When you use the word journal, it's so funny. When I talk to clients, I'm like, journal. No, it's not my style. Okay, right. Okay, yes, I love writing. What do you think journaling is? People think that journaling is like doodling, and I don't know. Anyway, go write. And that's one of the best ways to brain dump if you have a lot of load in your mind, is to just grab the journal and notebook and just write whatever comes to mind for 5 minutes. 10 minutes. I promise you, you'll feel so much better once you have it on paper. It won't be sitting, festering in your mind, and your mind is not going to run with an idea and make up a whole story about it. You just don't want to make this an excuse to go and get in alignment instead of doing the work. You want to get in alignment and do the work. So that's why I said 10 minutes, because when you aim for 10 minutes, even if it takes you 20 minutes, even if it takes you 30 minutes, you're still going to have the time likely to get some work done. If you follow what I talk about, which is setting deep work sessions, 90 minutes at least, a couple of hours, and being able to focus on creative work or important work, even if you took an extra 10, 20 minutes, you're still going to leave you enough time to do the thing right after that, so it doesn't become a tomorrow thing. What you don't want to do is say, I'm going to spend today getting in alignment and I'll look at it tomorrow. The only time I would do that is if, I don't know, something really terrible happened that day, something really bad. Sometimes it happens. You try your best to get back, and it's like, this day, I don't know what to do with it. I just want to go to sleep. That happens sometimes, but those situations are so rare. You don't want it to become an excuse. You don't want it to become a thing that you create even in your life, consciously or unconsciously, in order to avoid doing the work. And listen, it's always going to be something, okay? When I started making content, when I decided I wanted to start making videos in summer 2021, I was full of reasons why I couldn't do it. There was always something going on in my life. And I was right. I was telling the truth. I wasn't lying to myself. But the reality is, there's always going to be something going on in your life. You're always going to be busy with something. There's always going to be something taking time, space, energy, bandwidth. It's on you to carve out the time and make sure that the thing that you want gets done, even though other things are happening around you. Otherwise, if you're going to wait for the perfect day where nothing happens, nothing throws you off ever, that's very unlikely. Learn how to bounce back, learn how to process your emotions more quickly, and you don't have to resolve all the issues in your mind in those 10 minutes. So if you find yourself out of alignment because you have some thought about some resistance around content, or for example, I'm just using content as an example because it is the closest thing. You find yourself feeling resistance. You take 10 minutes to get in alignment. You write down what's going on. You uncover that you have deeper things to work through. It doesn't mean that you have to take care of it and resolve it in those 10 minutes. It just means that, how can I get in alignment as in truth in those 10 minutes? In those 10 minutes, I could probably look at it and go, interesting. There's a belief here that I have to work around. There's trauma that needs to be healed. There's a thought that I want to reconsider in the future. Make a note to come back to it in the future. It doesn't mean that you have to resolve it right then and there, but you want to get yourself in a place where no parts of you are fighting against you, or are doubting you, or are sitting in the back of your head telling you that what you're doing is pointless, meaningless, is not going to work, etc., etc. That's what it means to be in alignment. So to recap this whole thing, first of all, if you feel this feeling, ask yourself, was this something that felt in alignment when I first thought of it, and it has only become out of alignment all of a sudden? I started to question it when the time came to do it. If the answer is yes, there's a good chance that you are just procrastinating. It's fear. Because the truth is, if something was out of alignment, you would have known almost right away. When you first thought of the thought, you would have felt something in yourself to, you know what, this is not in alignment with me. It's not my style. It's not my energy. It's not my values. It's not for me. And what you want to do in that situation is just do it. Just get started. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it right. Just get started. The key is to do it, and then you can decide if it was in alignment or out of alignment. If you do it and you realize this was out of alignment, okay, that's fine. There's no problem. Next time, don't do that. Find another activity that's going to get you to the same goal. But try it before you decide that it's out of alignment. Now, if you feel really strong resistance in that moment and you try your best to start anyway, but you're still fighting against yourself, that means you are out of alignment. Doesn't mean that the thing is out of alignment. It means that you are feeling out of alignment. Take 10 minutes, go do something regenerative, go do something that will help you get back in inner alignment, which we defined as your thoughts and your feelings being aligned with the action that you're about to take. Go and take care of your inner world for just a few minutes. Come back to the task and do it right away, right after, the same day. Don't put it off to tomorrow. Do it and then look at it and go, was this really out of alignment or not? And you'll find your answer loud and clear. I hope this was helpful to you. My name is Aliana Kali. If you're catching me for the first time, if you're watching this anywhere other than Brands Are Alive, go to brandsarealive.com/mojo. Subscribe to receive a video like this every week. And also, I have a starter kit there to help you build your brand of full self-expression and a business that makes you feel alive. I'll see you next week.